Hey, and welcome back. We are in episode 3 of our limited podcast of Strength in the Storm. We're talking about this anthology that you really spearheaded, Andrea. And let's just remind everybody before we get back to learning about more of our authors, why this anthology now?
Absolutely. We truly want to uplift and inspire people as they go through the difficulties in life, climb those mountains that seem almost insurmountable, going through the difficulties. We're all faced with difficult times in life. It's an ebb and flow. Sometimes things are wonderful, sometimes things are difficult. But when we're in the storm, we need to be encouraged, right? We need to know that there's an other side to what we're going through. And so these stories will certainly do that 30 times over. Every
Right.
story shares that hope and that uplifting.
I think for me, something that's really great about each of these stories is they're not simply, I had it hard, now it's good. And here's the path that I walked. Here's
Mm,
how it went from hard to good. And I think it can be an outline for people to get from their hard to a good place.
so well said. I totally agree. That's what these stories do. They show us the path.
Yes. So let's learn about some more of our authors. And we're going to start in this episode with Lindsay Tedder. She makes me laugh out loud. She has a tough story. Her story just resonates with moms. We've all felt the way she felt. But for her, it was really tough. It was really deep. And she's showing a path out of that.
Yes. I love her humor again, like our Lucinda Hall's very entertaining writer. And you just feel like when you read her words, you are her best friend today. I mean, welcomes you into her world and is very forthcoming and is real as can be. Our subtitle is Real Stories, Real Women. And she is all of that and more. Just a bombshell of a lady. Love her.
Yes, and a dear friend of hers, Stephanie Weber,
Mm,
she's also got a tough story about job loss.
yeah.
And more than job loss, but it was almost a loss of identity.
Yes, and almost the loss of her world as a single mom. How am I gonna provide? And to read her again, another wordsmith like our Patricia,
Mhm.
just lovely writing. You're drawn into every word, every sentence, paragraph, and into her world. I love how she's come out the other side.
Yes. And Cindy Morton Egger. This
Mm,
woman's a dynamo, an absolute dynamo.
yes.
And she talks about, I love how it's very others focused. It's not just this is what happened to me. It's hey, because again, she's a dynamo. It's you're coming on this walk with me,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do good things, great things.
Mhm. Yes, for sure. And anyone who is in a caretaking season or in a season where God is asking you to do something that's you don't really want to do for the person you don't really want to do it for. This
Mhm.
story's for you.
And Pam Powell Mitchell,
Mm,
very powerful story that I just reading it, I felt like, oh, we just kept turning another corner and there was more. And yet she shares her story with such grace.
yeah. That is the perfect word for Pam. She is a woman of grace, and you just want to put a crown on her. I mean, you just do. She's lovely inside and out. And it shows in her writing as well. And she speaks all over the place. All of these women, by the way, are speakers. So
Yes.
if anyone is looking for someone to come speak to their women, you could choose any one of these ladies. And it wouldn't be necessarily even these stories that they would share. They may or they may not, because a lot are writing from a different space than what their stories, because as a speaker, they've already shared that on stage. And so this is just another example of who they are. But all of these ladies are wonderful speakers.
Yes. Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up. Jackie Hayden. She speaks from a place where I think people are afraid to speak sometimes.
Mm,
She's a pastor's wife. That can be
yeah.
so isolating. And so learning to overcome the difficulties of being in that kind of role, I'm not going to give away too much,
Mm.
So, anybody that's ever felt like you're stuck in a place where you cannot share, so you cannot heal, all her stories for you.
Yeah, love that. Jackie, again, speaking all over the place and from that pastor's wife's point of view, lovely, lovely.
And Sandra Jones, oh my goodness, finding yourself, you just feel like you're at the end of it all.
Yeah,
And where do you go from there?
yeah. When God puts his hand out, and we are at our absolute lowest point. I love how God doesn't leave us abandoned and helpless, even though we may feel like we are. But yeah, to the darkest moment, and God says, "Okay, now I can help you. Now I can help you." And Sandra, powerful speaker, prison ministry leader, Bible study leader. She is in all the places all the time.
And Phyllis Mantelli
Mm,
shared with us. She is a podcaster, an author, a speaker, a coach. She
yeah.
helps women that have had less than healthy relationships with their moms, but she's talking about something a little different here.
Yes, walking down the aisle, and that's all I'm going to say, but that starts her story, and we all love those stories, and is there a Prince Charming? Well, you'll have to read and find out.
That's right. Patty Davis, someone else that just exudes humor and joy. I'm not sure I've ever seen Patty when she didn't have a smile on her face,
Yes,
but she's had a tough time of it as well.
really tough, and yet she gives of herself, like, relentlessly, like, constantly, again, prison ministry, speaker to large groups of women, and mentor to even one of our authors, Jody Howe. She would be a mom mentor to all of us. I think if we all had her in our close circle, but certainly Jody does. So these two are tightly connected. In fact, Jody brought her to our group, and we're just so thankful she did.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this next lady, I don't know about her. Why did you let Lori Morrison in this group?
Oh, we are so glad that you are writing with us. I mean, your your take on life, your perspective is so needed. It's different, that it speaks to everyone's heart and mind. And I love, and you've written quite a little entertaining story here for us to read. And I'll leave it at that, that our, our readers will certainly enjoy your story and can relate.
Yeah.
Our,
Unfortunately, yeah, that too many people can relate to a tough, tough time trying to get your point across. But hey, you gotta look at it with a little bit of humor or you just want to give up. And of course, we're gonna end this episode with the lovely Judy Bone.
mm,
Judy, oh my goodness. Love Judy Bone again. I'm not sure I've ever seen her when she's not smiling, but going through a really, really tough time. Um, she's a cancer survivor. That's not what her story is about here, though.
no, that's right. She tells a story that I think so many of us can relate to about loneliness and how she dealt with it in her path and her journey. And so every woman can certainly relate to that lonely feeling, and she speaks to our hearts truly. She is a fashionista. I like to say she knows what colors work well with you and how to dress you up to make you look your best all the time. She's a wonderful speaker and has, like you said, a cancer story. Her book is In His Glow, and
Mhm.
it's about how she walked through her cancer journey, which was more recent than I had thought. So
Yes.
it's a very recent situation, and how she could bounce back so quickly with such a radical surgery and treatment plan. That's a God thing.
Well, again, 10 more wonderful ladies. Well, nine and me anyway. So then
Good.
don't forget to come back for our fourth episode where we will talk about our 10 remaining amazing storytellers.